Alright, so real quickly we're going to walk through how to do some basic calculations in Microsoft Excel. And so I set up a little spreadsheet here, and I have a couple columns with my items that I want to buy from a store, how much they cost each. Then we're going to put a quantity, so how many gallons of milk do I want, how many eggs, and then we're going to have the Excel spreadsheet calculate a total for us on each of these. And then down here we're going to have one total cost of all of the items added up together, and we're going to do this in a very simplified format just to kind of get us all started with that. So first of all of these items are actually entered as a label right now. They don't have any formula attached to them. And we're going to create formulas that start with an equal sign. Equals is always the way formulas start. And then we can say 1.98, and then we could multiply it with the multiplication symbol, and then we could multiply it by the quantity of 3. Let's say that we put 3 in here. I'm going to put some quantities in here. 5, 4, and 9. We could do that, and we could find out that 3 gallons of milk at $1.98 comes out to $5.94, and you can see your formula is entered here, and right in here it's going to give me the total. However, what if I change this quantity to 4? Nothing happens, and that's what we want to fix. So instead of telling it the actual amounts by doing the equal sign, we're going to do a cell reference. So we're going to say equals, and then we're going to say it equals whatever's in cell B3 times C3. And we basically got that by saying equals again, B3, which would be B3, and then multiplying it by C3, and we will get the same answer. But here's the great part about Excel. Now that I have that answer, I can go ahead and change this to a 4, for instance, and it's going to automatically calculate my new total. So if I bought 100 gallons of milk, it would be $198. So this is the real advantage of it. Now that we've created this equation, we can simply right-click it and copy, and then highlight the other cells where we'd like the same equation to be, and we're going to paste them. And when we do that, notice that this one said equals B3 times C3. When we click down on this cell, it's equals B4 times C4. That's because our copy was relative to the position of the cell that we have used to the grid. So if B3 is 1, 2 over, and C3 is just 1 over, then when it copies it, it's going to go 1, 2 over, and 1 over. So it's relative. We'll talk about absolute later, where you actually enter dollar signs in front of the items to actually make it absolute, but we're not going to do that just right yet. So now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go into cell B8, and I want to add up this entire column of information to get our total price. And it's pretty easy to do. Now think about it, there's a couple ways to do this. One way would be to say equals, click on this and say D3 plus D4 plus D5 plus D6 and hit enter. That's one way of doing it, and that's correct. We got our correct answer. Or we can also do something which is a function. Basically, Excel said instead of you having to enter in each plus sign in each cell reference, instead it knows that you're going to use this entire column, so we can use a function, and it's just basically a pre-written script for taking care of this exact problem for us. And we can say equals sum, and when we do, it'll give us some other options, but we can just click sum here for today, and then it's going to give us our opening bracket, and it's going to say I want you to sum everything that's inside of these brackets. And you see it's number 1, number 2. You could just put numbers in there, or we can put a range, and the range is separated by a colon. So we're going to say I would like you to sum everything from D3 through D6, and when I go ahead and put my ending parentheses and hit enter, I will get the same answer. And here's what's nice about Excel. No matter what I hit, it's going to change this amount as well as changing this amount. So I can create a pretty nifty spreadsheet for keeping track of all my calculations. This is basically a real beginning introduction to formulas, and we're going to talk a lot more about this in class later.